Good evening, everybody. How you doing? It's Thursday. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for content and cocktails. If you have not been part of this before, then this is my weekly deep dive into all things video marketing. And it's very simple. I sit down, talk some video info at you, do a bit of Q&A, and have a drink of a cocktail. It's all very civilized. Hopefully bringing a bit of normality and a little bit of relaxation to your Thursday evenings. I hope today has been good. It's been an absolutely sweltering day here. I've been sat editing in my editing cave, and my God, I've been just slowly melting. So if you're new to this and you're watching on my profile or my kind of business page, Grow Your Business with Video with Tom Stanhope, is the group. So this live started out as just being something which appeared in my group, Grow Your Business with Video. And from there, it has grown and grown and grown. Hello, Mike. How you doing? Hello, Sandra. Long-time viewer. My boss is back in the room. Hello, Sandra. It was a grey day in the Netherlands. Oh, dear. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's Scott, another long-time viewer. Hello, Scott, all the way from the Cotswolds. We've got a Mike in Dorset. Sandra in... Are you in Amsterdam? I can't remember. I think you are, aren't you? Long time cocktail drink. This is sounding a little bit like an AA meeting. So this evening's cocktail is going to be a dark and stormy, and we are taking it from the Larousse cocktail book. We've deviated a bit. Normally, it comes from my grandfather's book, Wartime Standard Issue cocktail book. 100 Cocktails by Bernard, but instead we've gone for the classic, absolute beast of a cocktail book, Larousse. Now, Mike is no longer in Dorset, he's in sunny Wiltshire. Good, absolutely fantastic. Sanchez near Amsterdam. Yes. Yes, and Facebook user Rosie Wood. Hello, neighbour. So. Yes, we have reached over the wall, and I'll pass you a dark and stormy. So I'm gonna make one for myself now. I thought I would go for something a little sort of lighter today. So whilst it says dark and stormy, it's actually something fitting for kind of for today's muggy weather. So it is, of course, as you I'm sure well know, the national drink of Bermuda. So not only is it a great tax haven and place to avoid paying your bills, it's also a great place to get a cocktail. So first of all, I'm going to take a lime and I'm going to quarter it, and I'm going to pop it in the bottom of this glass here. We will get around to the video stuff in a minute, but this is it. This is where it's at today. A bit of simple syrup in the bottom of probably about a measure, good glug of it. There we go. Not a measure, half measure. Wouldn't want a full measure of that. Then I'm going to muddle it. So we're going to just smush it up. Rosie's probably thinking, what is this idiot doing? My idiot neighbour. The noisy, messy neighbours that we have. Sitting, drinking on his own in the internet. But I'm not drinking on my own, am I? There's lots of lovely people. And we're going to put a good slug of rum in there. That was very quick, Mike. I love it. You are the Punmeister General. And all the better for it. Then we're going to top it up with some ginger beer, and I've gone for some Fentimans this week. So I'll just give it a little shake. It doesn't go everywhere. And top that up. A little bit longer. Yeah, I didn't go for Bernard's 100 cocktails because mostly they are just like, you know, a half pint of neat alcohol, which is not really what you need on a day like today. Cheers, everyone. That is the business. That's very nice. So, what we're talking about today, we are going to be talking about the advantage of being regular with your content. So, one of the things that very often trips people up when it comes to video content is treating it as a sort of one and done thing. And this is something that particularly the larger end of small companies are guilty of. They'll invest in video content, and they'll create some content, usually along the lines of kind of a bigger sort of general company film and a couple of testimonials, and then those go up on a broadly unloved YouTube channel, and they get forgotten. And then 6 months later, somebody comes from the company, comes in, looks at it and goes, "That didn't do anything. That didn't work. Clearly video doesn't work." And this is a conversation I've had lots of times with people. And the truth is that video content is not just for Christmas. It is for life. It is something you have to keep doing. And you have to do it with purpose. And you have to do it with a clear goal in mind. And that process of becoming more regular with your content can be quite a tricky one. So I'm going to talk you through some of the things I do in order to help me kind of make that sort of level up. Yeah, as Scott's basically, it's hard graft. It is as you, I mean, God, you know this, Scott. You have put the hours in, and you well know that kind of that journey is a tough one. Oh, I've forgotten the ice. I was thinking that's a bit warm. I'm going to put some ice in there. Tricky thinking that's not quite as refreshing as it should be, but there we go. It's got some ice in now. So here we are. Hello, Pixie. How are you doing? It's good to have you. So how do we, as content creators or people who have ambitions to be regular content creators, do it? So I'm going to talk about the two main areas as you'd expect me to. So live video content and pre-recorded content. Now, those of you who have any experience with, most people in this group have played around with both, either seriously or or sort of are just dipping their toes in. You will know that the challenges that face you when you are doing pre-recorded content, as in something that is shot deliberately and edited, that is not live, that is then put up onto a channel or something like that, or kind of uploaded, but not live, much more sort of polished. You know that is a much harder and kind of slightly more complex road to travel. And I know Scott, you've kind of you've got your own feelings about this. But I'll talk about live video first. So I'm here on a Thursday evening, 7 o'clock. I've had a small break recently, but that was because I wanted to just take a few weeks off, but with a very deliberate intent of coming back kind of renewed and refreshed. But I've been, with the exception of that small break and the occasional sort of week where real life has got in the way, I have been doing content and cocktails for now getting on for 20 months, I think. And that is the very definition of regular live content. That is I set out to create something that was going to be easy for me to do, and I think that's the first lesson, particularly with live content. Make it easy. If you are approaching your live video content with this huge ambition, making it really complex, and you say, well, I'm going to do that every week, or I'm going to do it 3 times a week, and it's going to be a blockbuster show. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be all sorts of, it can be something that's quite exhausting, because you've got to set up the interviews. You've got to put all the sort of pre-production work into it. Whereas if your sort of core regular show is something which is a bit more of a talk radio piece, as it were, kind of, hello Seattle, kind of, we're here to sort of taking your calls. I am here. I've got a theme of the show, which is me sitting down having a drink, a quiet drink in my study, and a chat with people I like about a subject I like. That for me is the very definition of something that is repeatable. Yeah, that's a really good point. And you have to put up with people cancelling. This is it. You will find that people, if you're organizing a show like that, people pull out at the last minute, because nobody, this isn't they're not paid gigs. They're just they're nice promotional opportunities, basically, or kind of. And people tend not to value it in quite the same way. I think it's something that people can. Hello, Jamie, how you doing? Cheers. So people tend not to value it in quite your time quite as much as they value their time, which is an awful thing to say, but it's true. We've got lots of pressures on ourselves and our business lives, and sometimes these things fall by the wayside. But if you are making something, if you're making your live content something that is very easy to repeat, but has a sort of central structure to it. So this, like this, it's very simple. I just sit down and have a drink and chat about video. It's not complex. It's highly repeatable. I've got a sort of little structure, in as much that people can, people might wonder what it is, what vile concoction I'm going to be drinking this week. But broadly speaking, it's a very simple structure, and I think simplicity in that structure is one of the sort of key ways to be regular. Now, I am cooking up a podcast come live sort of pre-recorded show, and I was going to do it as a live interview show, but the more I thought about it, and the more I thought, actually, I can roll that into my idea of a podcast. And so yes, as Scott says, and with content. There is content, exactly. It's not just about having a drink. There is, I hope, some learning and value to it. And, people keep turning up, so clearly it's not just about the drink. But cheers, Jamie. You did this. Fabulous challenge that you've run this week, Jamie. It's been really a really. I've been kind of orbiting at the edges of it and dipping in when I can, but it's been great. It's been really good. So my first rule of regularity, of regular content, is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it easy for yourself. Make it easy for yourself and easy for your audience. Easy for your audience in as much, put it at a time that people can be there. Put it and make sure it's kind of relatively regular, and sort of people know that once a week or once a fortnight or whatever it is, you'll be there doing something. So that's it. So with live stuff, that I would say is a key rule. Keep it simple. Now, once you've established that sort of routine and that regularity, then I think you can start to get more complex and develop a bit more scope and ambition. It might be that it's enough and you don't need to do anything else. Yeah, no, that's really funny, actually. It's something we have been thinking about, that sort of sending a monthly kind of box of cocktails for just this purpose, which would be quite fun. It sounds like a lot of work, though. I should probably do it, but one, I'm not sure many people would actually buy it, but also at the same time, it might be something. It's something that I think will be possibly on the cards for next year. We might play around with it as an idea, but yeah, it's a good one. Pre-recorded content is another good one to talk about, because we'll sort of flip between the two as we go along, pre-recorded and live. If you've done any pre-recorded content yourself, either as a kind of I'll get to that point in a second, Mike, because there is something coming up that I want to talk to you about. All of you, and you, Mike, as well, specifically. Yeah, any of you who've done pre-recorded content and edited it will know that that sort of steep video learning curve can feel tough if you're new to it. And I've said I use this as a way to sort of describe the video journey, is that it's a short steep climb, and then you level out, and it's a nice gentle kind of a gentle slope upwards, but you have an initial learning curve that is can be pretty daunting, actually. Hello Vicky, how you doing? It can be pretty daunting when you get to that initial climb, because you've got to learn camera work, you've got to learn video editing, you've got to work out, to do the sound, the getting the lighting right, getting the content right, getting good in front of the camera. All these things, you can't just kind of do one, master it, and move on. You have to do everything at the same time, and it's why kind of video is kind of one of those things where it's a balance between creative and technical mastery. And you're always nudging each of those things along, and you do it perpetually throughout your career. I'm still learning. I'm I think that's the fun part of it. You've always got to be sort of moving things forward, looking to learn. But when you're starting out with video content creation, it can feel incredibly time consuming. And if you are running a business and it is a marketing activity within that business, you don't want to be spending all your time making videos, because that's not your job. You should be, it should be just a small part of the process. But that steep learning curve does level out, so and levels out quite quickly, and then you can sort of be a bit more orderly and kind of gentle in your learning, as opposed to just kind of cramming everything in a short space of time. But again, so I'm currently recording you'll have seen that I've got back onto in the group, in Grow Your Business with Video, you'll have seen that I'm doing daily top tips, a daily quick tip. And at the same time, so I've got 365 of those all lined up. But at the same time, I am trying slowly but surely to record a short 30-second video to go with each of those. And the idea behind that is that I'm doing a lot of I suppose testing and research and kind of using short form content, so Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I'm looking at all of those platforms because I want to do some testing and measuring around them. And the idea is to have 365 short videos that I can just roll out and cycle round them for the next year, which is a huge thing to do. But as a video content producer, I need to be producing daily video content, and that should be something I'm doing. So that's my kind of my goal. But it could be that you are saying, you are looking at your pre-recorded content and you're thinking, right, well, I'm going to release a video once a month, but I'm going to make it a really good one. I'm going to take a subject that's important and relevant in my business, and I'm going to create a piece of really valuable, deep, quality content that will take people. Oh, we've got somebody on Twitch again. Hello, Twitch viewers. If you are sort of somebody who likes the idea of creating something quite sort of deep and meaty, then that's one way you can go. Or you create a weekly piece of content, or you can do something daily. Now, if you were attempting to do something really profound on a daily basis, it would be murder. It would be absolutely insane. You would need a big team around you to do that, or you would need to be doing nothing else other than creating that content, which would be crazy, because that's not the purpose of this. This is marketing. The purpose of creating video content is to grow your business with video, not to grow a business about video or to grow a video business. That is not what you're doing here. Unless you want to grow a video business, in which case, hey, that's great. Scott says, I absolutely endorse it's never ending. Yeah, that's it. It's about getting good enough quickly. And I think that's really at the heart of it. How do you go from sort of that conscious incompetence to conscious competence sort of as quick as you can? But that's it. Yeah, I mean, so that's, I guess, the second point is around pre-recorded content, is decide whether you are going to be the sort of person who creates content that is regular but spaced apart with a bit of distance between it. So it could be every month, and you make that content quite meaty and sort of deep. Or are you going to be creating slightly lighter, shorter pieces once a week, or once every day or something like that? And decide on the intervals, and then start to put a plan together. So you put together a content plan that sort of reflects that ambition. The third point, I would say, that will make a big difference to your regularity with video content is batch filming. So if you can get yourself, first of all, if you can buy yourself a month to 6 weeks of time. So if you get all your content planned, and then you sit down, you say, okay, today I am going to, over the next kind of couple of days, I'm going to record and I'm going to edit 6 weeks worth of content. And so if you get that done, you will then have bought yourself 6 weeks of time to do the next 6 weeks or the next 3 months or something like that. So what you should always be aiming to do is build up as big enough buffer of kind of content so as to allow yourself some time and some breathing space to plan the next stuff, to kind of keep that train rolling down the tracks. The content train keeps on rolling. Is that all making sense so far? Does that feel like the sort of thing that would be achievable? I'm just gonna, if you've got any questions, it's yes. So the sort of the ambition to be a regular broadcaster of good quality content is a great one to have, and it is the one, really, more than anything else. It's the thing that will sort of generate the momentum to allow you to use video as a tool to grow your audience and consequently to grow sales through that audience, because ultimately that's what we're aiming at. It is a I think we are sometimes very shy about the idea of what shy about the reasons why we are doing this stuff. I do this because I like to work with people who get me. And one way to make sure that happens is to be visible and have people kind of understand me. So if people are seeing me and hearing from me regularly, then they can either go, I do not want to work with him at all, or yes, I quite like the idea of working with Tom. And so there's kind of it's that red velvet rope thing, you know. It's the kind of something that you can unhook it and let people through, or people will come up and look over and go, not for me. And so it's a self-selecting process. So, you know, I spent a lot of time in the past doing jobs that in reality I probably shouldn't have taken, because they weren't right for me. I was not the right fit to be on those jobs. And, you know, I look back and think, that didn't float. That did not light my fire. That didn't float my boat. I was not the best person for that job. But when you don't have the luxury of choice, you will take anything. And I think that's a dangerous position to be in. But we create this content, we create regular content because it acts as a tool for helping people make decisions. Which I guess brings me on to my next point about the sort of the mirror effect. This is something I really like. So forget why it's called the mirror effect. So the mirror exposure effect is the and it's going to sound, it's on the face of it, it sounds like a fairly trite observation, but the mirror exposure effect, and this is from Wikipedia, so it may or may not be true. The mirror exposure effect is a psychological phenomenon by which people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they are familiar with them. In social psychology, this effect is sometimes called the familiarity principle. The effect has been demonstrated with many kinds of things, including words, paintings, pictures, faces, people, sounds, all sorts of things. In studies of interpersonal attraction, the more often someone sees a person, the more pleasing and likable they find that person. I'm going to read that last sentence again. In studies of interpersonal attraction, the more often someone sees a person, the more pleasing and likable they find that person. And in that sentence, we have the real kernel of all this. We go live and we broadcast content regularly. One, because it helps our audience, but two, because it helps build a preference. People are more likely to buy from you if they feel like they get you, if you are familiar. Because if two people came to, you know, if I was up against somebody and we had exactly in a sort of in a job, God, I can't think of the word, a job contest or whatever it's called, a bid, a tender, there we go. And the person, if we had identical offerings, you know, we're the same price, the same quality, the same everything, and the buyer knew one of us better than the other or was more familiar. And I don't mean sort of being best buds or anything like that. I just mean having seen that person regularly and build a visual familiarity, not necessarily a deep emotional connection, just somebody they've seen regularly. They're more likely to choose that person just simply because if someone sees a person, the more pleasing and likable they find that person. So we use video to leverage that mirror effect bonus. Audience attraction, audience visibility, call it what you will. It boils down to that sort of psychological truth. People will buy from people if they feel they kind of if they have a preference for them, and people have a preference for familiar things. So make yourself a familiar thing. Yeah, that is it. And you see, once you've got the familiarity thing, you can bring in these other ideas like story, and all of a sudden you have got an absolutely barnstorming combo that you can. It's like it's a pry bar in the nicest possible way. And I say it's a pry bar, and it sounds really aggressive, but actually it's not. It's about the familiarity principle works both ways. You know, if somebody's seeing you regularly and thinks, no, I just don't like this person, that's great, because they're not your paths never need to cross, and that's a good thing in its own right. I mean, you've still got to be good at your job. You've still got to be good at what you do. Just being familiar only goes so far. It doesn't get you repeat business. If somebody picks you because you're familiar and you do a terrible job, then that familiarity means nothing. That's it. Come hell or high water marketing, whether business is flying or on the floor, do something every day to get your name out there. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And your face as well. This is it. Your face has got to be out there. We like faces. People like faces. It's why so I remember a couple of years ago, I saw somebody who was sort of punting out video content creation, and their sort of selling point was, it's all animated, so you never have to show your face. I was like, that's crackers. Why would you do that? People, the sort of willingness to hide is a really good way to sort of never sell anything, because that sounds crazy. There's plenty of businesses that don't have visible spokesmen, but for certainly in the small and sort of micro and small business sector, particularly in the sort of coaching and speaking and the knowledge sharing service space to a certain extent, that personal brand element is so important. I might have another one of those. It's very nice. I'm trying to think. What have I been up to this week? We had the fifth session of Video Academy this week, which was very exciting. I can't believe we're 5 weeks in already. It's crazy. So I will be running a challenge. The challenge week will be running again, starting the 20th of September, which sounds like a million miles away, but it will come around really quickly. So in the top of the group is the link to sort of get on the sort of messaging list, so I'll be able to email you and let you know when it's coming up if you're interested. That sort of wait list. And we will be launching Video Academy again for its next run through, and we're getting already sort of we've got some really great people on the first cohort through, and it's been a really great experience so far, both from the the teacher and the learning point of view. But that will be happening in September, so we've got the rest of the summer. But Mike said we need a Content and Cocktails live in-person event. Well, funnily enough, that is definitely one of the things that is going to happen, either late this year or early next. Possibly early next, depending on what happens with kind of COVID numbers, and if it turns out that the vaccine has been enough. Which I'm dearly hoping we don't all end up in another lockdown, but I'm sure we won't. So there will be a live event where we will have a day and evening of learning and a few tipples along the way. I think this evening might be a shorter one. So I'm gonna throw open questions to the floor. If anybody has any questions at all, do fire them at me, and we can see what I can do. See if I can answer them coherently. So yeah, if you anything you like, it can be any questions you like. But if not, I will make this a short and sweet one. Well, short-ish, it's 40 minutes. Just going to check that I haven't missed anybody out. Yes, so I use Kartra. I use Kartra for my pre-recorded settings now, and it's something that I will be looking to perhaps set up some evergreen course content later in the year, but that'll be more of a sort of a lead magnet, sort of a small paid lead magnet type affair, maybe kind of a sort of an audience identification training or something like that, but a small sliver of the overall course. But I use Kartra for hosting my pre-recorded materials on, and I find it very good. It has been, but it's also a sort of a complete marketing system. So I can manage my email list from there. I can set up product kind of funnels and do all sorts of clever marketing automation through there. It's a really good system. But I think that I'm sort of less drawn to. I can't even think of the not. What's the one that? It's a course platform. What's it called? I will put the link in there. Hang on. I'll put the link in the. Here is the link. That should hopefully have come up. Will that have come up there? I don't know where you're watching, Scott. So let me know if you've seen that. That's because that's what I use. Kartra. It's good. It's about 70 quid a month, but you do get a complete, which sounds quite a lot, but actually is a complete system. And you can build membership spaces in there. You can do product downloads. You can do, it's kind of landing page builder, video hosting. It's the works basically. And it's made it very easy to sell stuff. So I've made some decent money out of that site. So yeah, Kartra is a good option. I would highly recommend it. I will draw things to a close now. So this evening we have been talking about regular video content. I think if I was to sum it all up in a few words, it would be that in order to leverage the benefits of regular video content, you need to make things easy for yourself. Have a clear sense of what you want to achieve. So set some good goals. Work out what you can commit to with both your live and your pre-recorded content. So don't set ridiculous ambitions that you're very unlikely to meet, because that's a sort of a recipe for failure. And bear in mind why you're doing it. You're doing it because of this magic that happens when people know you, when people see your face regularly. You get such an unfair advantage from using video in this consistent way that it's crazy that more people don't do it. So those are the reasons why I say regularity is important with video content. And that is it. So please do check out the if you fancy sort of being on the wait list for Video Academy 2. It's hopefully going to be better than the original. it's going to be great. You know, we've got another awesome challenge week coming up, and we are going to be giving it the same full-on energy in the sort of early autumn, which is really exciting. I can't wait. It was such good fun. I'm loving delivering Video Academy, and it is going to be another full-on time. Hello, Janet. How you doing? You're here for the end. I'm just signing off. Mix yourself a dark and stormy, and watch it and get it on the rewind. So that's it. I will see you all next week for the next edition of Content and Cocktails, and I will perhaps be going back to a Bernard cocktail. Although in this lovely warm summer's weather, this kind of dark and stormy is kind of a good tonic for the weather. But I will see you next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.